Morning Year 6 and welcome to Thursday's reading lesson. First we're going to read the text Northern Lights by Philip Pullman. We're only going to read an extract and not the whole book. Pause the video now, listen along on the video on YouTube in the Year 6 playlist and read along with the text that's in your home learning packs. When you've read that, unpause and come back to us. Great. So this is another book that I've not read before, and yet another book that I am going to read. I hope you're enjoying reading all these different texts as much as me, and I hope they're giving you ideas for things that you might want to read in the future. Let's have a look at the quick start questions. What is chapter 1 called? What was her demon's name? Where has Lyra always lived? Despite this, where has she never seen before? Why do they have to hide? And who is Lord Asriel? Pause the video, answer the questions, and then unpause when you're ready. Okay, let's look at the answers. What is chapter 1 called? The Decanter of Toki. What was her daemon's name? Pantalaimon. Where has Lyra always lived? Despite this, where has she never seen before? Well, she's always lived most of her life in the college, but she had never seen the retiring room. And why do they have to hide? They heard voices behind the door. Someone was coming in. And who is Lord Asriel? Lord Asriel is Lyra's uncle. Give yourself a tick for all those that you got right. Before we move on, let's check some of the vocabulary that was in the extract that we've just read. So the first one, she put her palm over the ringing crystal anyway. So a palm, if we look over here, is that part of your hand, the flat part. And a crystal is a precious stone. Let's continue the sentence. And Pantalaimon fluttered ahead and through the slightly open door of the retiring room at the other end of the die. Fluttered is when something flaps their wings quickly and lightly, like a butterfly. And a die, or a dais, is a platform which holds a lectern or a throne. So you might see that in a place of worship or somewhere quite spectacular. More old scholars, probably robed and bearded and gloomy, they stared out of their frames in solemn disapproval. Let's have a look at the first word, scholars. So a scholar is a person who has studied and has advanced knowledge. Probably robed, bearded and gloomy. Bearded, they have beard. Gloomy, not very happy. And robed, when someone graduates from university, they are usually robed. And when scholars attend functions, they often like to wear their graduation robes. In solemn disapproval. So solemn means formal and dignified, and disapproval is when you don't agree with something, so you'd probably look like this face down here. The master's feet became visible too, in the shabby black shoes he always wore. So the master's feet became visible means that you could see them, and shabby means in poor condition, so his shoes could have looked something like these. The butler bowed slightly and turned to leave, his daemon trotting obediently after him. So to bow is when you bend the top part of your body downwards. And obediently means you do as you're told, or you follow a request willingly. So in this sentence, it means that the butler bent down, signifying that he was going, and then his daemon that was behind him went after him like he always does, and he does as he's told. And the last one. He took the stopper out of the mouth of a decanter containing a rich golden wine. So a decanter is usually made of glass or crystal, and it's what people use to store wine or precious drinks. And the stopper is the thing at the top that you put in to keep it fresh. I hope these words have helped you understand the story a little bit more. So let's think about paragraph 1. Your first task is to find and copy a group of words that show that Lyra and Pantalaimon are not supposed to be there. I would love to know what these daemons actually are and what is going on in this story, and that is why I am going to find this book and read the rest of it. But for now, concentrate on your task, which is find and copy a group of words that show that they are not supposed to be there. Pause the video, find the group of words, write them in your home learning booklet, and then come and join us back in the video. So, let's see. A group of words that show Lyra and Pantalaimon are not supposed to be there. Lyra and her demon moved through the darkening hall, taking care to keep to one side, out of sight of the kitchen. Could it be that? That group of words show that they're not meant to be there because they're out of sight. And if you keep out of sight, it usually means you aren't meant to be there. The 3 great tables that ran the length of the hall were laid already, the silver and the glass catching what little light there was, and the long benches were pulled out ready for the guests. Portraits of former masters hung up in the gloom along the walls. Lyra reached the dais and looked back at the open kitchen door, and, seeing no one, stepped up beside the high table. The places here were laid with gold, not silver, and the 14 seats were not oak benches, but mahogany chairs with velvet cushions. So this is the group of words that show that they aren't meant to be there. How did you do? Let's have a look at this one. What did Lyra see next, and why did this change things? The extract says, what she saw next, however, changed things completely. So because it says what she saw next, we need to read ahead of this sentence. So let's have a look. The master took from his pocket a folded paper and laid it on the table. He took the stopper out of the mouth of a decanter containing a rich golden wine, unfolded the paper and poured a thin stream of white powder into the decanter before crumpling the paper and throwing it into the fire. Then he took a pencil from his pocket and stirred the wine until the powder had dissolved and replaced the stopper. His daemon gave a soft, brief squawk. The master replied in an undertone and looked around with his hooded, clouded eyes before leaving through the door he'd come in by. I hope as you've read this, you've visualised what is going on in the story. Now you've visualised it, what do you think she saw? What was happening in this part of the story? And why did this change things? When it's asking you why it changed things, what did Lyra think before this happened? So this would probably be a 3-mark question because we're thinking of how things have changed. Look at before, what happened and how did it change things. Pause the video when you're ready and unpause when you want to continue. So this next question wants us to look at the paragraph beginning behind the chair. Find and copy 2 words that show Lyra and Pantalaimon do not want to be caught. The important part of this question is here. 2 words. So we don't want 1 word or 3 words, we just want 2. Behind the chair, quick, whispered Pantalaimon, and in a flash Lyra was out of the armchair and crouching behind it. It wasn't the best for hiding behind. She'd chosen one in the very centre of the room, and unless she kept very quiet. So what I'd like you to do is pause the video, read the extract again if you need to, find the 2 words that you think show that Lyra and Pantalaimon don't want to be caught, and then unpause when you're ready. Great. So the 2 words you should have found were hiding behind. We know that if you're hiding, you don't want to be caught. So they are the 2 words that show they don't want to be caught. And you can't get out of the other door. Taking all 4 pages into account and everything you have learned about Lyra, what thoughts do you think are going through her head at the end of page 6? Together, write Lyra's thoughts using fewer than 25 words. This task might sound easy because you only have to write 25 words, but to streamline her thoughts into 25 words might be quite tricky. So what I want you to do is pause this video and go and skim what we've read. So you've already got the idea, the gist of it in your head, but I want you to read it again whilst thinking about what thoughts are going through her head. Once you've done that, write in 25 words in your home learning booklet what you think she's thinking. I can't wait to see what you think she's thinking, to see if it's the same as what I think. Our last task for today's reading lesson is thinking about the character of Lyra. Why do you think it would appeal to readers? You've got to explain your answer using at least 2 pieces of evidence from the text. Remember that using the evidence means the reader of the answer will be more inclined to agree with you because you are showing them evidence. So what I'd like you to do, pause the video, think about how the character of Lyra would appeal to readers. What would they like about her? What would they empathise with her in any way? Would they find similarities with her? Find those, find the evidence and write them in your home learning booklets. Once you've done that, unpause and come back and join me. Great. So what did you think the character of Lyra was like, and why would she appeal to others? There are a couple of things I thought of. I thought that Lyra might be quite obedient, because she says in the text that even though she's lived there for years, she'd never been in the retiring room. So that must mean she's been told not to, and she's followed that order, which would make her pretty obedient. Another thing that might appeal to readers is the fact that Lyra is quite brave. She obviously wants to go to a place where she's not allowed. That would also mean she's quite disobedient, and that wouldn't appeal to readers. So is there any other evidence that you can find that would mean she was brave and not disobedient? I can't wait to see what you've put in your home learning packs. Okay, so now we've finished our reading lesson for today, I'd like you to go onto our YouTube channel, the Year 6 playlist, and read the next 2 chapters of Room 13. You've got the text in your packs to follow along with. See you tomorrow.